Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to introduce to you a very exciting topic that will actually transform your finances from a point of financial pain, a point of undecisiveness, a point of unknown, to actually getting to a point of transformation and beginning your journey towards success. Over the last 6 years, I've begun to realize that the average person actually lacks the technical know-how to know the amount of effort, the amount of hard work, amount of systems that have to be in place, and the proper planning that has to go on in order to be financially successful. And it's not anybody's fault to actually be in that position, because I begin to realize that in most families, we don't have these difficult conversations when it comes to money. And therefore, the average person is in this blind spot whereby they don't have the right plans in place. They don't know the amount of hard work that they should actually be putting to transform themselves from their current position, actually becoming a force to reckon with. They also do not know the amount of effort it requires the average person to come out of this crowded pool of the unwashed masses. And therefore, what are actually the steps that the average person can take in order for themselves to come out of the murky waters of financial uncertainty and come to a space of endless opportunities? And here are the actual steps that I could take if I was in that position of starting off. So to begin with, I will look inside my financial ecosystem and start to have my house in order by starting to have what I call financial cleanup. And in the financial cleanup, I'll start looking at the consumer debt that I actually owe. Because remember, when you owe debt, you are actually a slave to the debt owner. Because every time money comes into your space, it already has an obligation, because you have to feed into your debts instead of feeding into your dreams. And therefore, I look around my financial house and start to clear and sweep out all the consumer debt as quickly as possible. I know the average person is hit day in, day out by these marketing schemes that actually promise that there exists something in the marketplace that will actually transform your financial life without you necessarily changing, without you being skilled, without you putting a lot of hard work. And that is actually so misleading, because if you have to transform yourself and you have this house that is full of debt, then the fastest way to clear your debt is actually by putting in more effort into income generating activities, so that your income can drastically go up, so that you fulfill your debt obligations as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if you continuously remain with your current financial position with a lot of consumer debt, then it means the interest is going to eat up your income. And so you have to start to realize that tomorrow is prepared today, and there has to be a sacrifice. For tomorrow to be better, we have to sacrifice our today. And the beauty about being an average person is that we have a lot of time on our hands, and therefore we can transact our effort in exchange of money. And that, to me, is the simplest, most logical way to go about our business when we're at the bottom of the pyramid. Two, we have to start to put together our savings accounts so that we can actually build them up, so that we can have the financial resources on top of our time. Because when we look at why the average person or the average small business fails, we start to hear about the lack of capital. And it's not the lack of availability of capital in the marketplace, but it's the lack of capital on the hands of the business owner or the average person. And therefore, starting to build up your savings accounts will actually remove that barrier so that you can transform yourself into somebody who can either start a business or be able to withstand any financial tragedies that can befall you. And therefore, savings is the starting point that you can begin to fight for your space in the economic table. And we are not talking about extraordinary numbers here, because remember, the average person in the world cannot afford to raise $1,000 when an emergency strikes. And so, when you look at those numbers, a serious, normal, average world citizen can be able to transform their finances by saving up a total of $10,000. When you look at the bigger financial picture, through effort, through proper planning, and through serious hard work on activities that actually generate income, average person can be able to transform financial house within 3 years or less. Thirdly, when it comes to putting your financial house in order, you have to have a budget in place. And I know a lot of people have a pushback when it comes to budgeting. And actually, I don't have any sober way to talk about finances and having a proper foundation in place without bringing the question of budgeting. Because even millionaires need budgets. So being able to put in place a very lean budget to take care of your most pressing basic needs is critical for the average person. Because it's through budgeting that you can be able to actually pull extra money from your income and start directing that into your savings that will ultimately transform your financial house once you start putting together all the pieces and be able to transform to the next level. Because we can't have our cake and eat it at the same time. And therefore, if you cannot be able to radically increase your income, then you have to radically decrease your expenditure. And if you can do both and be able to radically transform your income upwards and decrease your expenses, then you will become a serious force and be able to transform your economic house within no time. Because the average person either has an income problem or has a spending disease. And that is why some of you actually be financially doomed in the long term, because you lack the insight and you feel like there will be policy agendas by the government or some powerful people to actually make the economy cheaper. But the reality is that the economy will continue to be tough on the average person, because it is not going to be cheaper unless you upgrade yourself to be at par with the economy or actually do better than the economy itself. And lastly, the average person who is actually serious in transforming the economic life must be able to put in place a serious methodology that will actually transform their work ethic. Because it's not going to be business as usual to continue being paid through transactional effort. And therefore, the average person has to upgrade themselves from being paid through transactional efforts into transformational efforts, whereby you can have control of the amount of pay you actually get through your services. So transforming yourself by reducing your consumer debt to the bare minimum, increasing your income through the do more principle, reducing and keeping in check your expenses through having a serious lean budget in place, and finally Moving your efforts from transactional, transformational will actually draw you closer to being a financial powerhouse. If you're finding these videos useful, then please don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel, and also like, share, and comment down below. Thank you, and see you in the next video.